hunger strike for 53 days. The last week or so of that hunger strike, I had succumbed to the problems of hunger and lack of nutrition, and I collapsed into not a coma, but semi consciousness. I remember being in considerable distress. My eyesight was failing. What they call the optic motor nerve had collapsed, which meant that my eyesight was flickering up and down. My hearing was impaired, and I was suffering from headaches and also suffering from different pains in my stomach and legs. This intensified as time went by until towards the end. I didn't realise it, but towards the last, I was receiving daily visits from my parents. I wasn't aware that was because the authorities, the medical authorities in the prison, believed that I was close to death. And when the hunger strike ended after 53 days, I remember afterwards hearing from the medical authorities in the prison that they had estimated that I had 24 to 48 hours left to live. So that was how close I believe I came to dying. It took me about 2 months to get back on my feet, and it took several years before my optic motor nerve was restored, that my eyesight was steady once more.
Today is day 34 of the first hunger strikers' day of hunger strike, so Kesser and Amu. And yeah, it's beautiful to see everyone who cares so deeply. I just wanted to start with a bit of a story that kind of relates to Ireland and this event. So a couple of nights ago, Kesser was unfortunately taken to the hospital incommunicado, so that means that they didn't allow her a call to me or her lawyers. We tried calling the prison several times. They lied, saying she was in her cell, and they were going to do welfare checks, but of course that never happened. She was already in the hospital by then, and when she got to the hospital, there was actually no private rooms available. It was fully at capacity, so they were forced to sit in the public waiting room with Kesser. Now, if anybody knows Kesser, this is their first mistake, because she made sure everybody in that waiting room knew about the hunger strike, knew about Palestine. The guards also made the mistake of asking why she hasn't eaten for 32 days at that point. And so she explained in a very, very loud voice about the hunger strike and all of their demands. And she said she was desperately trying to look around the room and try to find a friendly face. And she told me, I never look for white people. But then I remembered the Irish, and I thought, well, there could be Irish people here. So she desperately tried to look and see if she could identify Irish people in the waiting room. And on the way out, on the way out, although she's obviously taken the hospital very weak, dehydrated and everything that comes with not eating for 30 plus days, on the way out, she went, free, free Palestine. And the whole waiting room looked up and finally met her gaze.
A number of years ago, 2006, myself and 8 other colleagues, comrades, we took part in an action in a US arms manufacturing firm that was located in Derry City in Ireland. Derry has been a city that knows full well the consequences of occupation and imperialism. It's where Bloody Sunday took place, where British soldiers massacred 13 unarmed peaceful protesters. And as part of a peace process, there was a US arms manufacturing firm brought to the city, and many people were unhappy with that, thought that it was a stain on the reputation of Derry. Derry is a proud, a proud place where imperialism was resisted. So on the 9th of August, we effectively went into Raytheon and closed it down and damaged the mainframe computer and destroyed all our computers. So as a result of that, there was a trial, and the people, the defendants, were subsequently found not guilty after a jury trial, because they were able to prove that Raytheon was complicit in international war crimes, and that the actions that they had taken, the crime, so to speak, that they had to carry out, was in order to stop a bigger crime happening. And and I think that there's a lot of similarities in what's happening here now in Britain. The activities of Palestine Action are honourable. They're resisting genocide. They're not criminals. They're certainly not terrorists. And I think that the British have learnt from the actions in Derry and other actions like Shannon Airport around that time. So that's the reason now why they have classified Palestine Action as terrorists. It's the British government should be opposing genocide, but unfortunately it's left to ordinary people. They carry out these actions. They highlight and try and prevent complicit actions in genocide.
We are all familiar, because you just see it all day, every day on Facebook and Twitter and TikTok and the front pages of newspapers. We are all familiar with what's happening in America. And we look at Trump and Elon Musk and MAGA and ICE, and there's a sense in Britain and Europe that we are all immune to what is happening in America. Because what we're looking at there is clearly, on the Mussolini model, the embedding of fascism in the American state. But if you cast your eyes nearer home and look at the Labour government of today, a Labour government who has, not for the first time, of Labour governments, never mind Tories, proved the point that the colonial mindset is deeply embedded in the political class of England, particularly, regardless of whether they are Labours, Liberals, Greens, or anything else. And that's understandable, because it's very difficult when everything you own and possess was built and secured on the rape, plunder and conquest of every other continent on the face of the earth. So it's not hard to get ideas above your station and think that your privileges are rights. And that's a problem with today's faux Labour, as I call it. But a Labour government, not a Tory government, not a Trumpian MAGA, a Labour government has abused the rule of law, has politically weaponised the law and the courts in the interests of preserving the state of Israel. And you have to ask yourself, why? Why have they done that? And if you really want to understand how deeply embedded that is, you have to go back to the Judeo-Christian crusades to rid the world of Islam, which was really a colonial project to defeat the Ottoman Empire and take over the Palestinian lands. And that's how long it's been going on. But Keir Starmer's government have redefined terrorism.
Just so everyone's aware, the Filton case is used as a gag order on the press. So the press use that as an excuse not to want to report. I've had press tell me, I say I want to speak about the hunger strike, oh, but it's complicated because of the Filton 24 and we need to speak to our lawyers. There's nothing complicated about reporting about hunger strikers. So to the nice person at the back who spoke to Channel 4, that's what we need to be doing. We have to pressure these media outlets to report. And a couple of close friends and other activists have started calling around at radios that take questions from the audience so they can present the hunger strike. They have started emailing newspapers, like Sky News, Al Jazeera. I can see a few of the individuals that have done it. They are here now. And it's a coordinated effort from everyone. If they keep hearing that the people want to hear about the hunger strikers, they will end up reporting it. They need to see that there's a pushback and that if they don't, they will face, I don't know, like a boycott or something on the outside. But I just wanted to like really highlight how important that is. So if you don't feel up to doing certain things, that is a really small task you can do, is just write to all the media outlets, find out who the journalists are, and speak to them and tell them they need to report on this. I've got a message from Kamran, so I'll play that, and I think that'll be a lot nicer.
Hi, this is Kamran Ahmed, and I'm on day 24 of hunger strike. I currently speak with ulcers forming in my mouth, giving me a slight lisp and a weak voice. Painful, but I speak with a smile on my face. There's been ups and downs along this winding road. Some days I feel like quitting, like today when I saw someone eating a brownie. But then I get a second wind and say no chance. I remain committed to see my demands and objectives being met. Inshallah. And how can I give up when the biggest open-air prison being Gaza and the settler goblins in the West Bank still operate with impunity, intent on genocide and ethnic cleansing? I remind myself of the mother who went for flour but returned to no one to share it with. Inshallah, she and they are given something better than they've lost. But that serves as a memory that I must give it a good go, so those events can never occur again by Allah's leave. I want to thank everyone. Though exhausting, you continue to raise your voices and push mine. I told a couple people before a metaphor, which I'll repeat here, hopefully the last time before it bores people, which is, I'm just a small cog in a giant machine. When that machine stops running, I stop turning. Without you, the machine, my hunger strike is buried under the carpet, or like a cog buried in the scrapyard. So thank you everyone for pushing my voice. Inshallah, we will win. And a shout out to Louis, who's a diabetic who's currently trying to participate in the hunger strike. Crazy lad. Please guys support him. And perhaps advise him to stop, as I'm concerned for himself. Thank you, everyone.
So yeah, that was a message from Kamran, and like he said, he is a cog, but you guys are the machine. And this hunger strike, it can be a turning point in the UK to shut those Elbit sites down, to stop the targeting of activists that are standing up for Palestine. This is our opportunity to take the narrative and really shape it into what we want it to be. And our loved ones are using their bodies to ensure that we are heard loud and clear. Today, I got to go and see Lamy and confront him with a letter about the hunger strike. And as per usual, he claimed that he knew nothing about it, despite the fact that it's pretty much everywhere. But it meant that his head of his department basically gave me her email, and now we have direct communication with his head of office. So what does that mean for us? We're getting one step closer each time. And it's because of the loud voices here, and I don't do it by myself. I went because other people organized it and asked me to attend. And so I'm grateful for everyone that goes out on the streets. I'm grateful for everyone that organizes, that gives out leaflets, because every single time you do that, honestly, you're probably saving their lives. And we can shorten and make sure this hunger strike doesn't have to go on for longer than necessary.
To my brothers and sisters on hunger strike and the other members of the Filton 24, I can only admire your courage and determination to support what is correct and right. I can understand the agony and the pain that you are in tonight and that you will meet again. But just keep in mind that you're fighting a just fight, that what you're doing is promoting justice and democracy, actually, against a regime that is attempting to redefine a narrative where the British state has supported the genocidal campaign of the Israeli government and now has decided to call you, who have objected to that, terrorists. You are in the right. You have right on your side. You have justice on your side. Keep that in mind. Unfortunately, and I hope and pray that you survive, and if you should, you will experience difficulties regaining your full health. I know only too well, but I hope that, and I live in hope and I pray that you will make a full recovery, and again someday we'll meet, shake hands in a better world that you have struggled so hardly and valiantly and courageously for.